Hi friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm creating a couple of cards using the Sending Love and Prayers sunflower stamp from Unity Stamp Company. I started off by stamping my sunflowers on a piece of watercolor cardstock. I used VersaFine Clear Twilight, which is a dark blue ink. I went on to color it using old to new watercolor brush markers. I started the first layer with Citrus Burst, which is a bright yellow. Following that, I went on to do the next layer using Mango Smoothie, which is a more subtle yellow. And then I also brought in some Warm Sunshine, which is a much more deeper yellow. The idea behind using multiple shades of yellow is to give my sunflower a little bit more interest and depth. The technique is basically applying more concentrated ink or color towards the base of my petals, and then I used a water brush to pull the color out. Finally, I went on to add some more shadows by using yellow ochre in the little nooks and crannies to show more depth. And then again, I used Warm Sunshine to blend it out. As you can see here, I'm able to create that feeling of depth. So my sunflowers are not looking really flat and boring. So now that you understand the basic process of just adding color to the base of every petal and blending it out using a water brush pen, let's skip over the coloring for the remaining two flowers and go to the center of the flower. I used the espresso marker to add brown to the center of the flowers. Tried to keep it a little darker on one side and then used a slightly more diluted version to spread it out across. I really didn't find it to be dark enough, so I then bring in some tree bark, which is a more richer, warmer brown, and then I use that to create, again, the feeling of depth. So just trying to add, concentrated pigment in some areas of the center and blending it out to give that illusion of depth. So once I'm done with the flowers, I bring in the Persian blue marker to add blue to my leaves. So I'm still going with the Cards for Ukraine theme, trying to show support to my Ukrainian friends. So yeah, I just instead of the usual green, I went with a blue shade for my leaves. The process remains the same using these markers. I go right in with the marker to the base of the leaf, and I use a water brush pen to just pull the color out so it kind of goes from a darker to a lighter gradient and looks really pretty. Next, I scribble out some evening gray ink from the marker and then mix it up with a little bit of the tree bark brown that was left on my palette to create this really muted, soft shadow color that I use to go around my flowers. This kind of lifts my image up from the page so it no longer looks like a flat image stamped on my paper anymore. So I do love that slight shadowy look around it. It's really hard to see on the video here, but in person you can actually see that little halo around my flowers. To accentuate it further, I use Derwent Inktense pencil. The color I'm using here is called Bark. And I just scribble a little bit in those little nooks and crannies and then blend it out immediately using a water brush pen. You can see that it really adds a lot of drama to my image right away. I also use the pencil to add a little more shadow to the center of my flower as it seems to have become kind of dull after drying out. Next, I use Lindy's Moonshadow Mist in Buccaneer Bay Blue to add splatters to my card. I love this color, the subtle shine it adds. It looks really pretty. And then I also squirted out a little bit of Chipped Sapphire Distress Spray stain on my palette. And then I just used my water brush to add a little extra splatters. Once I'm done with that, I let it dry thoroughly, and then I used my decal edge trimmer to cut down the panel into two halves. So this would make two mini slimline cards for me. So I just go ahead and trim down the edges so it fits inside a panel. Next, I grabbed two card bases. I would say not really card bases. Actually, these are more like matte for these card panels that we just created. And then I use the same two sprays. So that is your Distress Spray Stain Chip Sapphire and Lindy's Moon Shadow Mist in Buccaneer Bay Blue. I just spray it, add lots of water, and then dry it in between layers. So I just keep dipping it back into the ink that's left on my glass mat and keep drying until I get those layers of dark blue around the edges of my panel. So these form really beautiful dark blue mat for my card. Next, I use the Hugs and Love dies from Honeybee Stamps to cut out the sentiment from these panels that we just inked up. And then I attach my colored images to the mat, and then I go ahead to glue down the die cut words right on top of that. Then I put them on mini slimline card bases, and this completes my cards. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you liked my little tutorial, do hit the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks again. Have a wonderful day. Bye.